Complex, HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix, is home for the Dan Patrick Show.
This show is paid for in part by sponsors.
Dan just called in. He wants to talk Diamondbacks. Do you have a specific segment you got to talk in that in?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
Okay, I'll let him know the call.
Okay. Yo, he said, what's good? We gonna talk about it now, fool. That's what's up.
Wow, yeah. That's good.
Normally I wouldn't. I just say put them on, but ain't nobody
I'm not even mentioned at all. What? 591. That's Jerry. Nah, just joking. We love our Diamondback.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
That's how you start a show off.
You're live.
And welcome back, or welcome to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Having a chuckle before the show started. I kind of lost my track there, but appreciate you coming and hanging out with Easy and Jay on this, I would say, not cool, but comfortable. Getting close to comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable.
Yeah, Saturday out here, low 100s, not baking you yet.
He's gonna start with a pointer. You're gonna tell how the winds are blowing.
Well, you need to get us a teleprompter behind us, just like the weather people do. Like, we're gonna have storms coming through that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, appreciate you hanging out. Easy J, Easy Sports Talk, KDUS 1060 AM as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7. Great show lined up for you today. A lot of football with the Cardinals getting ready to kick off the regular season as we promised.
Yeah,
we're gonna do our picks.
Yeah,
we're gonna go through it segment by segment. We have it broken down. Talk a little bit about what the season is going to entail. Before we get into that, though, we got a special shout out. Happy birthday, Aaron! September 1st. We both shouted at you on Facebook on the day of, but can't let it go by. I got to wish you a happy birthday, man. Hope you had a great. You're very welcome, man. Hope you had a great celebration. If not during the week, during the weekend here. So. Well, at the end of the show, we're going to find out what you might be planning to do.
Aaron, you're about to turn up. You're going to find him in the club.
How old are you, Aaron?
I just turned 28.
Okay, 28. Beautiful age, man. Beautiful age.
I'm
just saying, when you're 52, 28, I wish I could be 20. And then I also want to give a shout out. Our thoughts and prayers are all affected by Hurricane Ida.
Yes, sir.
Wreaking havoc over, started by, going through Louisiana, and I have ties to Louisiana. My brother was there with the Saints for a few years, so I met a lot of people there over his time there. Kind of went through there. People, like hundreds of thousands of people stood out electricity. Then it went up the East Coast, and my home, New Jersey and New York and Pennsylvania, those northeast.
Yes, sir.
You never think you're going to have to deal with that. Man, power out, flooding.
Yeah.
Just total devastation up there. And I just wanted to, reach out to everybody over or up there and northeast as well as anyone who's affected by Ida. But rough times, man, just crazy. We're dealing with all this COVID and stuff like that, and you got this coming through. So just thoughts and prayers to everybody. So let's jump into these sports topics, man. We're going to have Brother Earl join us at 11:30. We're going to talk a little bit about the ASU program. They got their first win of the season against Southern Utah on Friday. I think they played. It was Thursday. They played Thursday. Yeah, so we'll talk to Brother Earl. I got a couple things I want to ask him about that. And like I said, in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about the Cardinals over the next probably 3.5 seconds leading up to the top of the hour. But I want to start this one because you and I on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We hit it up on the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast where it can be seen.
EasySportsTalk.com. You just have to do is click on the tab that says Believe in the Arizona Cardinals. You can find it there, or just search Believe in the Arizona Cardinals on wherever you find your podcast, BLEAV in the Arizona Cardinals.
And jump back real quick. If you do want to get in touch with us on the Easy Sports Talk hotline, hit us up at 602-260-1060. Aaron is behind the glass. He'll take your call. You can also tweet at us at the Easy Sports Talk at Ed Smith Speaks and Javon Love, and it's Love with an LUV. So Cardinals preseason game canceled. The last one, only of 3 last week against the Saints. They move to Tuesday, make all the roster cuts and everything. Mm-hmm. So they're shaving that roster, and then they come up -1 additional, man. Yeah. And this is crazy. you actually went out and got Malcolm Butler as
To
kind
replace.
of to replace Patrick Peterson.
Yep.
Thinking, we need a veteran in this spot, help this young group. He can be the anchor. And man, I don't know what happened, but over the course of a few days, he wasn't showing up at practice. They weren't really giving explanation other than personal reason.
And they knew that they had dialogue with him, and they knew that he wasn't going to be in practice. But one of the things that's interesting, and I'll let you finish, is that for as much as we get on leaks that come out of organizations, there aren't a lot of leaks that come out of the Arizona Cardinals in terms of when things happen. You think of the J.J. Watt signing, they kept that under wraps, right? You think of what's going on here, and just because he wasn't there over time, that's when the questions really started to come about. But there wasn't any type of there wasn't a rumor as what was going to happen until a few hours before they made that decision.
Yeah, and basically what happened is he was contemplating retirement, and then eventually told them he wasn't coming back, so they put him on the retired list. And the shock to that is when he was brought in here, like I said, he was brought in as a leader. We haven't heard much from him. We didn't see him play much, obviously, because none of the veterans really played in the preseason games. But, the speculation that they're saying is personal reasons. And, you and I chopped this up along with Brother Earl on Wednesday when we did the Believe in Arizona Cardinals podcast. I questioned whether this is a Malcolm Butler personal issue or whether it was, I don't really want to do this with this organization.
And that was something interesting that you mentioned. Again, we went into real depth on the pod, so make sure you check it out. But it was interesting when you mentioned that, because when you're used to having things done, it doesn't matter if you're in an organization or you have a certain teacher. The math teacher this year is different than the math teacher last year. Math teacher last year was really strict or whatever it was and was able to get stuff done. This one seems a little bit more laid back, and nobody's getting anything done. What's wrong with that? And you look at how the difference in the culture of both classrooms, right? Same thing can be said when it comes to organizations.
And let's give a little bit of his background. He spent years with the New England Patriots, won titles under Belichick, very organized, very, dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's, and just very sound organization with good leadership, right? Mm-hmm. Then you go and you spend a quick minute in Tennessee with the Titans, which is disciple, Vrabel, yes. Disciple of New England, yes. Very stable environment and everything, yes. And then, maybe, okay, well, this is an opportunity, I can go over here to Arizona and be a leader, but also skip my little shine on to the end of my career. And, I don't know, it's not a great organization, but I can go help it be great. And then you get here, and it's pure chaos in terms of leadership at the top. The head coach, we've talked about this ad nauseum over the last few weeks. Yeah. I like that word I use there.
I do.
But Kingsbury doesn't have a hold on this team. Kyler Murray basically, I don't want to play preseason. Why are you going to put me out there? We haven't seen Hyder, Harold Hopkins. JJ obviously coming back from an injury, but this is, you got a whole group of guys that are kind of just doing their own thing. And quite honestly, if you're an old veteran, I remember some of my stops when I was a veteran, but not many years of experience, but I had put in time as far as being on this earth. Mm-hmm. You get to a spot, and I've been in some good spots in Atlanta. I remember when I was in Detroit, and I was like, what the hell are they doing here? And I'm seriously, this is after my Super Bowl, a couple years in Atlanta, Super Bowl run. Yeah. And I'm with this organization, I was like, wow, no wonder they're bad. And they've been bad ever since, right? But for Malcolm Butler, you've experienced the top of the mountain 2 or 3 times. How many Super Bowls he's won? Super Bowl MVP, wasn't he? With the interception against the Seahawks. I think so. Yeah. So he's experienced all this, and then you come here, and you're thinking, like a lot of people are like, well, how can you just retire? What's wrong with you? That's a lot of money to walk away. Man, your personal health and your sanity of because I explained to you on the other day, football is not like a job where you can sometimes come in and check out that day. You work in the office, you come in sometime. I've known dudes be like, man, I'm going to the back. I'm taking me a quick nap. Don't tell them where I'm at. Just disappear. Football is from training camp, usually the cupcake stuff they do now, but start of season till January at the earliest. If you make it to the playoffs, potentially late January, February, it's a job week in and week out, the grind. Right. One day off, and that one day, if you're hurt, you're in there for treatment and stuff like that. Malcolm Butler might have been thinking, man, I don't know if I can do this for 18 weeks with this. And
I wonder, though, when you think about it, though, because we have Chandler Jones, and Chandler Jones was on the Patriots as well. So, do Do they speak? Do they communicate? Hey, it's different over here. Don't trip, man. It's all good. Just get your money, get your bread, get your paper, your chicken, your chips. Keep it moving. You're like, but I mean, we'll never know because there's just so much speculation. And we don't have a right to know, but it is odd that I wonder how long whatever is going on, if it is truly something personal, because from what I understand, I think from what we both understand, that all mention or references to the Arizona Cardinals have been removed
from his social media.
And that could be maybe just trying to close a chapter in his life, or maybe a short chapter, or something that just is very painful to look back on, just because of what maybe was going on in his personal life. I don't know.
And we don't have any right to know what's going on in his personal life, and this is all speculation just by me. I've been in those locker rooms. And one of the other things we need to even touch on, and maybe later on the show we will, the aftermath of this. You got a young DB room. He was supposed to be leader of the pack here with all this experience, and he steps away. Now you got puppies in the room. They're going to their first, some of them in their first experiences in this role, and then the defense in total. This could be a real debacle. So what we're going to do, maybe we'll double back to some of that later on, but we're going to start a little run through the season, the schedule here.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to give our official picks later in the show, and we're going to stay our claim just like we did last year.
And if you wonder why we're doing it now, it's because next week we're not on because we're being preempted for
NAU.
Yeah,
they're out. South Dakota. I got it on the run sheet down there somewhere. But hey, we're going to take this break. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7. Make sure you stick around with us. Like I said, we've got a great show. We're going to jump into this schedule. We'll see what we come up with at the end of 17. Be back after these messages, folks.
Hey, it's bad when you're giving up $3.25 million as well. But anyway,
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Later.
Thank you, Aaron.
Carving out time in your afternoon for the Doug Outreach Show, right here on KDUS AM 60, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
Got a big painting project you've been putting off because you don't think you can afford it? Well, it's time to call the team at Customer First Solutions. Customer First is your one-stop shop for all home repairs, from full interior and exterior painting to handyman services, drywall repair, electrical, and plumbing. Customer First has the most competitive prices in the valley. Your flat rate quote is based on the square footage of your home. That includes wall repair. All Customer First technicians are licensed, bonded, and fully background checked for your assurance. Call or text Customer First Solutions at 480-877-0255 for your free quote, and use Easy ST to receive your Easy Sports Talk.
You're live.
Yeah, man, welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Ed Smith, Easy, Javon, J Love.
They ain't gonna lie, but black man quick. Yeah, man.
Yeah, DJ Quick right there. This segment right here is brought to you by
Milano Music, family owned and operated for over 70 years, 75 plus years, over 50,000 square foot showroom and repair facility, 18 instrument rental depots across the valley. Visit MilanoMusic.com. That's MILANO music.com, or call them at 480-827-1111. Again, that's 480-827-1111.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break the schedule down. It's the 17-week schedule. We're throwing the bye week, 18. Do your math, you divide that by 3, you get 6. So we're going over the next 3 segments. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna go. I like that you normally do it in quarters, but this new format here, like I said, I figured we break it down to 6 because some days we're not even gonna spend a whole lot of time on it. We're just gonna give our quick picks. But so over the next 3 segments, if you want to keep tab with us, maybe you have your record. You think we're wrong in this one. I want to get your thoughts on where you think the Cardinals are going to end up. So coming out, like I said, not very impressed with what they did in the offseason, but preseason, I say, but it is preseason. Now it's real time. I said on the Believe the other day, Show Enough said playtime's over, boy. So it's time for the real deal. So let's jump right into it. First game of the season, we will be off next week on the 11th, but the Cardinals go out to Tennessee to play the Titans. And I'm gonna say, like, we'll go alternate. For this one, I'll go first. I'm gonna say I see this game as an L for the Cardinals. Didn't see much from them in the preseason. Like I said, you got dudes like J.J. Watt, run down the list of them who didn't either play at all or played very little. Our quarterback didn't show us much. You're going over to a Tennessee team that I think is what they went to the conference, not the championship last year, but the divisional round. Played really well. They got a running game. I think they put some work on this offseason. I see them as a team that puts the L on us in the first one. Your thoughts on this one, Jay?
I got it down as a W.
You got the okay?
I got it down as a W, and part of the reason is I think that one of the things that they're going to do is they're really gonna pick on the old partner, the old player partner. I still don't trust Kirk Cousins when it comes down to it.
No, we're talking Tennessee.
Oh, what am I talking about?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, no, my bad. I still okay.
You still got that.
I think I have that as a W, just because if we're looking at they know that the pressure is on them to perform this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having tried to come out strong. I heard something a couple of weeks ago where they talk about the last 2 or 3 seasons, that first win, while it's not the end all be all, that seemed to have been one of the things that carried over for the season for the Cardinals in terms of how either the first part of the first quarter at that point in time of the season played out, or really when you start to get into the latter part of the season and how maybe some of their issues really start to rear their ugly head. I think it'll be a very, very close one, given the fact that we know that they have a running back with Tennessee that's kind of good. He's all right. You know what I'm saying? He does a little thing. So I think they'll come out victorious.
All right, so you got a W to start the season. Go ahead, Vikings, Cardinals. Cardinals come out here, or Vikings come out here. Before we start, give a shout out to my nephew.
How is he doing?
He had his surgery on Wednesday. He had to prepare for a breakout season. And in that last preseason game, something tweaked, and he ended up messing his meniscus up. And originally they thought he'd be out for just a few weeks. They did the surgery, and it looks like he's going to miss the entire season. So really bummed about that. So So shout out to my nephew Junior. Think about praying for you, man. But yeah, he's going to help you out. But so Packer or Vikings coming here to play the Cardinals September 19th. What you got?
Now that I have as a W.
Okay.
And for what I started to say earlier, I still don't trust Kirk Cousins. And I think that they're going to pick on your boy. I think they're going to really pick on him. Maybe that
Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, maybe they'll even move DeAndre Hopkins around a little bit. I doubt it, but that would be interesting instead of just knowing you're going to line up in the same spot every time. But I think historically, what you probably know this to be true as well, that he's had problems with him when he was moved around and when he was with Houston, of course. So maybe the coaching staff will look at that and say, let's do the same thing and let's really pick on him and really make sure that we're taking advantage of that matchup.
He might be ultra focused coming in here, and I'm with you on this one. Cardinals at home. I to have them losing over in Tennessee the first week. I have them winning this game, but I'm on the fence with this one because you never know which Kirk Cousins is coming here. Their running game, obviously, they're down some of their tools now with my nephew being out and different things like that. But this is a game I do think the Cardinals can win at home. They will try to probably pick on Patrick Peterson a little bit. I would caution you a little bit, though. Don't be poking that dog too much because, I mean, he's going to come in here with some vitriol and he's going to be wanting to get back, So, but I do see the Cardinals winning that game. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, though. And hopefully they don't start. In my eyes, you lose that one, you could be 0-2 coming up in from Tennessee. But so both got Cardinals winning that one. Game 3, 26th of September, Cardinals go out to Jacksonville. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this one. This one was one, if you don't beat the Jaguars with a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach in the NFL, this one, you don't come home. Just where they go the following week after that, they go out to the Rams. Just go out to LA. Don't even come home if you can't beat the Jaguars in week 3. So that's all I'm saying. At that point, I have the Cardinals potentially 2-1. How do you feel about that game?
The echoing exactly what you said. I think that they have to. When you have a rookie quarterback, you have a coach that is coming from the college ranks and is trying to get that feel. Because again, we've seen some of the mistakes that he's made so far in the off season when it comes to trying to, in terms of maybe doing different things to motivate or the way he talks to the media. You can't rule with the same iron fist that you did when you were at Ohio State, for example. But I think one of the things to keep in mind here is that pressure that we can't lose, that makes people tight at times. And I'm curious about that, but I still think that should be a victory for the Cardinals.
All right, so
I got them so far starting off 3-0.
You got 3-0. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
October 3rd, Cardinals go out to LA to play the Rams. Go ahead.
Oh, that's a lot. I can't even. There's something about them when they play the Rams that there's some type of mental.
The Rams have their number.
They do, and it sounds so cheesy, but sometimes you walk into it's that it happens no matter whether it's sports or if it's in the corporate world or whatever it is. You walk in there because you already have built up in your mind all the things that could and will probably go wrong. That when one little thing goes wrong, because nothing is perfect, then you're just waiting for the next wrong thing to happen, as opposed to overcoming and pushing through. And I think that the Rams will be.
And can I say, does it appear that Kingsbury is a little intimidated by McVay? It almost feels like student teacher, and something happens, the paper starts shivering, shuffling a little extra when they play the Rams. That's one team that we just have not figured out yet. In the couple of years that Kingsbury's been here, it'll be interesting to see if they can, get either one of these games. But going out to LA first one, between the two of them, October 3rd, I definitely see that as an L. Then they come home, and this is the flip side.
Real quick, I do want to say this, though. When it comes, I don't know if you ever had this happen, especially with your brother. I know I had this happen with my cousin, with my older cousin, and also with one of my really great friends. His name is Chris. That I wanted to beat them so bad sometimes that I would take shots that I wouldn't normally make, or it was easier to get inside my head because. Oh, why are you giving me that space on this jumper? Well, go ahead and take it if you that bold bad. And I take the jumper knowing that's not my shot, and then I miss it, and all of a sudden it starts to snowball. And I think that's what is happening in terms of with the Rams.
Okay. So then San Francisco comes here, and this is interesting because we talk about how the Rams have our number. For some reason, even though, in my opinion, the 49ers have much more talent than we do, we seem to have their number to a certain degree. We always make it tough on them. Yeah. If we don't win, we give them a tussle. And this is the one, like, so you go out to LA, you might get your head basket, and you come home, you got the 49ers. And this is that one, like I said, it's almost like we have the, I'm going to go with the 49ers with this one at home against the Cardinals because, like I said, I haven't seen enough from the Cardinals to think even, remember we talked about this, the first month for them might be like preseason. Yeah. The offensive line, the different, you're going to have this defensive line with the 49ers coming in here, just wreaking havoc, I think, and just destroying stuff. And then that's just a trickle down right there. And I do think the 49ers offense, even with Jimmy G, is better than what we have from
2 minutes.
You get your tight end back, et cetera, et cetera. So I have that as an L for the Cardinals at home. What do you kind of agree with me on that one? Or?
Oh yeah, I got the Cardinals taking the number.
Okay, and then let's step with this. We got about a minute and a half left. Cardinals go to the Browns, which is an odd because we don't play them often. You're going over to Cleveland. You got the Browns, and people have Cleveland as a playoff team. And I'll just say this real quick so you can finish up. I see the Browns, that running attack, as long as they don't have Baker throwing the ball 40 times. This is an L for the Cardinals, if you ask me. Outside on grass, not cold yet, but just that doesn't fit well. It doesn't match up well.
I agree with you. I think that's a loss for the Cardinals. But here's the thing: I think there's a lot. The expectations for the Browns are huge, and I think they should be because they are a very talented team on paper. They're going to catch. The Cardinals are going to catch Cleveland at the inopportune time because this is still, I think, a part of the season where Baker won't have been. He won't be feeling himself or smelling himself too much to be able to say, no, I want more responsibility as opposed to running this ball so much, which might happen in the second half of the season or maybe that third third of the season, and if we break the season down into third.
And this is a contract year for him too. We've already seen people get their money.
Yeah.
So if he starts stacking W's or even them W's, then he might put himself up in a good spot. So right now, through the first 6 games of the season, I have the Cardinals at 2-4. I think you have them at 3-3.
3-3.
Okay. So we're gonna keep rolling through the schedule. One interesting thing that I brought up: 4 of their first 6 games are on the road. That's out of the box. 4 out of 6 on the road.
And that should be able to maybe, if you're talking about an offensive line, some things that try to galvanize them, shouldn't maybe being on the road, can that help you? Because you need to
Now when you have them other fans in your ears and it's
the only thing I was thinking is because you have to do this together as a group as opposed to relying
but
on
you haven't done it yet to this point. You haven't tried to get that gel.
Yeah.
So that's why, so
that gel.
it's gel. Hey, we're gonna take this break. We're gonna keep rolling with this schedule, come up with our final tally for the 2021 season for the Cardinals. Hope you have a good time hanging out with us so far. Hey, keep your track of your score too. We'll be back after these messages. I hope you have a great weekend so far.
You get
Easy
Let that
Sports
ride.
Talk Show. Yeah, it's a little Tribe Called Quest. Yeah. Welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. I remember I told you a few months ago I watched that.
Did you watch the documentary?
The documentary, man, that was off the chart. Man, it was off the chart. This segment right here is brought to you by
Colt Artisan Beverage Company, one of the first to launch nitrogen-infused coffee. They offer everything from specialty coffees and a botanical infusion line of caffeine and sugar-free brewed beverages. Call Colt Coffee at 623-434-0939. Again, that's 623-434-0939, or visit ColtCoffeeRoaster.com.
So after 6 games, Javon has the Cardinals at 3-3. I have them at 2-4 in week 7. They have the Houston Texans coming here, minus their starting quarterback. We don't know whether he'll ever take him for that organization, but I think they have him listed at 3 right now, Deshaun Watson. So that one for me, you got a team that's basically probably preparing to lose. They want no part of W's. So they'll come in here and take it on the Chiefs. Who is it? Tyrod Taylor's their quarterback, or who is their quarterback?
For
the Texans.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, I think. Yeah. I mean, he's serviceable, but I don't see them coming over here putting up a great fight. Cardinals should win that one. That's another one of those, if you don't win, nobody should be able to eat that night. You should all go hungry and wait.
You ain't gonna be grueling.
Yeah. So at that point, like I said, 10-24, I got the Cardinals winning, picking up a victory against the Texans. What do you say?
Oh yeah, you better do that. If by some chance Deshaun Watson is playing, then maybe.
Yeah, that you revise after that. Yeah.
But I would have that as a win for the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah, if he's playing, you revise that one.
Yes.
And then here's the kicker: the short week. They gave the Cardinals a Thursday night game against the Packers of all teams the following week. So quick turnaround. You got the Texans coming here. You play on Sunday. Boom, right back at it on Thursday against the Packers of all teams. I can't come up with any way in my mind that you beat the Packers. And here's the thing: as the season progresses, we all know there's injuries. There's all kind of different things that happen.
People outperform.
Yeah. So we're doing this prognostication one week at a time, but we're looking 17, 18 weeks out. So we have, so let's say the Cardinals all of a sudden they look great. Because what we're going to do is every week we're going to break down the upcoming game and give our current opinion. But this is our overall opinion, looking at paper, looking at schedule. No way the Cardinals are going to beat the Packers, in my opinion, on Thursday. Say you.
Nah, I got the Packers victorious in that one. Yeah, I feel you there.
Okay.
Not much to go more in depth about that. Yeah.
So at that point, you finish that one up, and then you got the long weekend. You got the Thursday night game. So now you got a little time to recuperate. Your reward for not the upcoming Sunday, but the one after that, you get to go out to play the 49ers at their place again.
What's interesting is that's early in the season.
We're done.
Yeah.
Week was at 7, 8, week 9, you don't have to see the 49ers again the rest of the season.
Right.
But the problem is you might have 2 L's on your chest.
I believe so.
I think so too. Here's the thing. I think they're gonna beat us at home or here in Arizona. I don't see them going out there and putting up that great fight. By now, let's throw this into the equation too. By now, dissension and grumbling is going on. I say if the season is going according to or even you only have one more win ahead of me.
Yeah.
But if you're going into these games like 2-4, so now you're 3-6 or something like that, whatever it is by the time you get to there, right? Now, the happy feeling that everybody had coming out the box, it's starting to dissipate a little bit. And now pressure's starting to be focused on head coach, on your supposed franchise quarterback. What isn't he doing well? Why can't we ever get him under center? How come he's always bailing out of the pocket? How come he never throws up the middle of the field? He's always throwing to the sideline. I'm just saying, this is things we talked about last year, right? That could be a repeat.
Don't do it to him, man.
I'm just saying.
Do it to him.
Okay.
Do it to him.
So now you go out to play the 49ers. I'm calling that an L. Next week, you have the Panthers coming in here, and they've got who's their quarterback from the Jets?
Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Okay. Go ahead. You take this one.
I actually have against the Panthers. I have it as a W. I got a W against the Panthers. I think that they're not fully formed yet. and I think the Cardinals should be able to get in there and pull a game out over a team like that. So I mean, we know that McCaffrey is dynamic when it comes to his abilities, but I still think that the Cardinals should come out victorious.
I got you right there. I mean, and we always talk about the home advantage. So obviously, Panthers, I don't call them, they're not a juggernaut, mediocre team at best. Come out here, I think the Cardinals get off the snide, get that win. And actually that makes, because, you got Texans, Packers, for that. So at that point, they might have won 2 out of the last 4, feeling good about themselves. So Panthers a win. Then on the 21st of November, you got to go out to Seattle to play the Seahawks. So that happy feeling might be going away.
I think we know that it's weird.
That's another team that they always
mentioned the 49ers,
yeah.
And so the Seahawks are like that as well. I think this might be catching them at a point where they're able to get a W. So they'll end up getting a W. I don't know about at the end of the season, but there's always one of those two that it seems to be lately. What recency tells us that they're going to get one of those 2 games. I think it'll be the early one.
Well, and this is what last year for me was an anomaly, and that's why we'll see where things go with COVID around the country, because you got to remember, nobody had fans in the stands for the most part last year.
Right.
So home field advantage was diminished a little bit last year. That's why I think, and I give myself a little credit. That's why I had such a horrible season picking games last year, because my philosophy. But everything was evened out with nobody in the stands to get that extra advantage. And that's why I'm coming to get my trophy back this year, Sean. If you listen, I'm coming to get my neutrals up. You won?
Yeah.
Oh, you and Kerry, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years since I had my trophy.
Yeah.
All right.
Losing,
That's okay. That's all right. Matter of fact, I want it polished when you bring it back to me too. I'll be bringing an old dusty trophy.
Because of COVID, that's the new phrase that happens. I was talking to my wife about that the other day, but yeah, it's still at his house.
Okay, so here's the thing, and that's why I want, with this season, if we stay on course, even though I'm wondering why we're trying to stay on course with all this stuff still out there, but if Cardinals go up to Seattle, we have their normal fan base up there. Ain't happening. At this point, until they show me they're a better team, I'm going with my gut, and I'm thinking you go up there, especially Seahawks, probably in the playoff hunt the way they usually are, whether they're leading division, somewhere in the hunt for wild card, whatever it is. Yeah. We're not going up there in normal situations and getting the W. I got that one down as an L myself. Okay. You heard it here from me first. Let me do some calculations here. In the first 6, I had them 2 and 4. Okay.
I had them 3 and 3.
In the next 5, I have them. Let me see. I have them 2 and 3. And the reason I bring that up,
I have them 3 and 2.
Okay. So at this point in the season, I have them at 4 and 7. So that's important because the following week is the bye week at week 12. And oh my goodness, week 12, a bye week in the NFL? Bruh, you might as well not even have one at that point. I mean, I'm glad they do have one on their schedule.
Right.
But by the time, and I'll bring this point up because you and I talked about it during the break. Give me your total record again.
So far I have 6 and 5.
You have them with a winning record at that point?
6 and 5.
Oh, goodness.
It's that Seattle or that Tennessee game.
All right. So we'll just, since you have them at 6 and 5, I have them at 4 and 7. And the reason I bring up the record at the bye week, how many were close to my prognostication?
You got them losing to Tennessee and to Seattle, which helps to give credit to what you're saying. I mean, those are
flip games
to me.
So 4 and 7, I have them. If at that point you get to your bye week at week 12, what typically happens around the bye week for teams that are fluttering or scuffling in the mud?
Smoothies.
Usually change happens. And at this point in the season, Kime might be thinking, well, it's either his neck or my neck because, somebody's going to have to pay. Somebody's going to have to pay for this, right? He might decide, hey, Cliff, come in my office. We need to talk.
Oh, man.
And at 4 and 7, he'd have every right, especially depending on how the team is playing. So this, in my opinion, if I'm correct, and I could be totally off, at this point they could be 8 and 3. I don't know. But if they're in this range, 4 and 7, that might be the week that we see Cliff Kingsbury get his walking papers. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
I'll keep it at that.
if that's the case, I think you'll be onto something.
Okay, so we got another break coming up, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish the last 6 of the season and come up with what it really looked like overall. But I mean, so far, I'm really surprised you got to be 6-5. Wow.
I'm just looking at what I see.
Okay, you must have a whole bunch of L's in the back end of this one. We're gonna find out.
Hey,
Hey, we're gonna take this break. Appreciate you hanging out. Hey, I gotta give a special shout out to one of my best homies in the world, Bruce Pendleton. He was my starting quarterback. First dude ever threw me a pass as a tight end when I was a sophomore. Be back at these messages, folks.
Are you okay?
I say that because he's listening in. Thank you, Aaron.
7 p.m. with Killer Baseball with Jim Britson and Howard Paulson on
Oh, you know that song? You know
Yes,
that?
sir, I know
You know
that.
that? Oh, I was hoping. That's that ZZ Hill, boy. Shout out to my grandmother on my
Yes,
mother's
sir.
side.
That's
They used
some
to
good
play that.
stuff right
The
there.
adults would be in the front, doing all kinds of silly things, and we'd be in the back, jumping on beds, man.
You don't surprise me often because I know your stuff. Every now and you pull it out, I'm like, oh, there you
Yeah, I'm
go.
blue,
Hey,
boy.
this segment right here is brought to you by.
Oh, snap. You got me on that one.
Oh.
Majestic Services. Contact Majestic Services to do all the dirty work around your home or business. Majestic Services will pressure wash your driveways, awnings, pool decks, sidewalks, and more. Call Majestic Services at 602-614-9401 or go to majesticservices.net for your free, no obligation quote today.
All right, so it's time to bring it home now at the At the midway point, I say 1 to 3, 2/3 quarter of the season, I got them at 6 and no.
You got
4 and
four. Did you say 4 and 7? Yeah.
You got them at 6 and 5 with a winning
5.
record. I give
Yeah.
you some credit there. You putting it out there.
Yeah.
The home stretch though, week 13 through 18, they just got finished their bye week. Hopefully, Cliff Kingsbury is still wearing his whistle and has his coach's hat on. We go from there to stretch. Go into December. First thing out of the box, we go over to Chicago to play the Bears on December 5th. December 5th in Chicago, kind of chilly. It's chilly. It's not yet frozen frigid yet, but it's uncomfortable. I think the Cardinals will be uncomfortable out in the grass. I'm not sure what their defense is going to be like, whether it's going to be that suffocating defense they usually have. By then, maybe Justin Fields is playing quarterback instead of the Red Rifle. Oh, we never gave a shout out to Teddy Two Gloves winning that job up in Denver. Teddy Two Gloves got that job, man. Knocked it up.
You see Teddy Two Gloves out there for the Rainer? Yeah, I know that boy over there. Boy, tell that boy I said, so tell him to give me a call. You owe me a little bit of money now.
All right, so where do you have this one with the Bears? The Cardinals go over there.
I got a yeah, I got a
Really?
Yeah.
So at that point, you have them at 7 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
The picture becomes clear, but yeah.
Okay. I got the Bears winning that one too. So I'm sliding down the hill. You're going up the mountain. I'm on that slide coming down. So then we go from there. Got the Rams coming here, and it's a Monday nighter. So all the focus is on this game. This is the solo game for the night. December 13th at home against the Rams. What you got?
Rams lose. No, Rams win.
You got the Rams win. Once again, that's that team that kind of has their.
Yeah, I think if they can break through their mental hurdle with the Rams in the beginning of the season, then I think the season becomes it opens up in a lot of different ways from a confidence standpoint. And I don't know if you. It's a conversation for another time, but I think that my belief in momentum in different ways has changed just because of a confidence standpoint. But yeah, so I think that they lose to the Rams.
I got the Rams in that one too. Then they go out to Detroit to play the Lions. Quite honestly, I got the Cardinals winning that one.
I got
Lions,
that one too.
I have no confidence.
Even though when those times when we thought that they should have beaten the Lions over the last 20 years.
Are they in the same division?
It makes it seem like
play every year.
It's because of where they finish at the end of the season. That's why they playing them over and over.
Every single year. Yeah. I've never seen a matchup, and in the preseason sometimes too, but it's like every regular season we play the Lions. Yeah. Okay. So we both got a win there. Cardinals come back home on Christmas Day. It's a Saturday. I used to hate I played one Christmas Day, which was on a Saturday when I was in Detroit. We played Denver. I remember that game like it was yesterday because it was Christmas Day and I shouldn't have been playing football on Christmas Day. You're talking about a boring Christmas.
Oh, man.
So you got the Cardinals coming in. Well, I guess at least it gives us something to do. We'll take the show off that weekend because that's a Christmas Day. We can't be working Christmas Day. It's on a Saturday. So we'll be off that day watching football. We'll be watching the Cardinals against the Colts. Who wins that game, Jay?
Colts.
You got the Colts winning that one? Really?
I think from a coaching standpoint, I think the Colts coaching staff is better than the Cardinals coaching staff. We know that Wentz can be mercurial at best. I just think the Colts would end up squeaking that out.
This is one of them situations. How you feeling, Miss Silly? Or how you feeling, Miss who was it? Oprah's character, Miss Sophia.
Yeah,
I'm confused. And I'll say I'm confused because you got the Colts on TV losing. Well, no, Colts beating us, but you got them beat Seattle, and you got to beat. So
it's time and place, man. Time and place.
Okay, I got the Cardinals winning now.
Okay,
on Christmas Day. Then you follow up the 2nd of January, home stretch of the season here, going over to play the Cowboys. Cowboys, in my opinion, probably fighting for a playoff spot in that division with, probably battling the Washington football team. Giants probably trailing, Philly probably coming in the rear. But I think that will mean a whole lot to the Cowboys. And I have the Cowboys winning that game.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys winning. This is where it starts to fall apart for the Cardinals. So
We only got one game left.
no, but
They ain't enough
this you'll see what my ending record. That's
Okay,
what
okay. So you got both have the Cowboys winning that.
Yeah.
And then they finish up going, having Seattle come here to play, to wrap up the season. Say you won that game. Game 17.
Cardinals lose.
Cardinals lose game 17.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes you think that?
Again, it's the back and forth nature.
Wait, though.
What's up?
So you have the Cardinals going to Seattle to win,
Yeah,
and
they
they
win.
coming.
Oftentimes when Seattle wins, they win here, and the Cardinals end up winning there.
Okay.
Yeah, they that whole 12th man thing. They kind of broke that whole mystique about three or four seasons ago.
Okay.
Maybe 4 seasons ago, whatever it was. So yeah, they typically it's the when you think that they shouldn't beat the Seahawks is when
Oh, using that Jedi mind trick stuff on them. Okay. So I got Seattle coming here and getting the win. And once again, my rationale is
yeah, I have Seattle winning.
okay. You got Seattle win, but that's what confused me though because you got
Yeah.
flip flop. You got
Yeah.
flip flop. So
Seattle winning.
okay, so we both have Seattle winning that one. For me, Seattle probably final playoff push, if not for a division title. They're usually fighting for a wild card. Maybe getting a home game or something like that versus, So for me, I have the Seahawks winning that game in the last 6. I have the Cardinals at 2-4 in that one. So what I'm going to do, because my right now I have the Cardinals winning 6 games. So that would give them a 6-11 record, right? Yeah. No, 6-11. 6-11. I amend it in this way because, and you bring up the point. I'm kind of piggybacking off you. Every year there's a game that we didn't see. Somebody like one of those, like you said, it could be a Rams game, it could be whichever, even
like
Browns or
you
something
had
like
to have
that.
seen that they were going to beat the Rams last season. When it came down to it, maybe in the beginning of the season you wouldn't have picked it, but you thought, oh, okay, everything is riding on this. You win and you're in. Wah.
Well, I'll even go all the way back. I mean, and I told you on one of our breaks, I think the Cardinals could lose to the Vikings. That's a real, so that could have flipped it. But what I'm always doing, I'm going to buffer on the side of giving them an extra win rather than an extra loss. So my overall record for the Cardinals, I'm going to put it out there at 7-10 overall for, and obviously not getting into the playoffs or anything like that. Whether that saves Kingsbury's job or whether he's out by a bye week, we'll have to see. But my record at 7-10. And it's funny because last year we were both, I think we went 7-9 last year.
I believe so.
And they ended up 8-8. We took a outright beating by everybody at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Basically calling us clowns. How can you believe in the Cardinals and stuff like that? And we were pretty much 7-9 versus 8-8. I think we were spot on.
Yeah.
So this year, we'll go give us what you have.
I have, and I've changed it a couple times in terms of it's going through this. I have them at 8-9, and I think that their ceiling is 10 wins.
Oh, okay.
I think their ceiling. I
didn't even think ceiling. I didn't even put that in there. There are a couple games that could go one way or the other. I would say I'm with you. I would put my ceiling at 9, a 9-8 season. I don't 10 when you're 10, even in the 17-game season at 10-7, you could possibly be a playoff team. Right. I do not see this, at least from what I've seen so far.
And hopefully we're proven wrong. We would love to be proven wrong.
We'd love to. Yeah. But the thing is,
there's so much excitement that if you think about the way in which they played that first half of the season and where they were at the bye, there was so much excitement and the expectations were beginning to rise. And the energy, and that's what you want. That's what you love to see. Well, that's what you love to be a part of.
And think about this. Think of what the Suns did to us just this summer. Yeah. And how excited and everybody jumped behind him. We would love to do the same thing for the Cardinals. We've been waiting for it.
And think about what the Suns are going to have done to them by the Lakers next year as well. I mean, we might have to. It might be in 2 or 3 minute spurts at a time because we got to take inhalers.
I keep telling you, you better petition the league to play their games early so they can all get to sleep on time.
Did you heard about that new product that Lamar Odom is taking that's getting him back to the inside joke? Listen to the Believer.
So there we have it. We have 7-10. And what did you say? You said 9-8?
I said
8-9. Okay, so we take on anybody who has a different opinion, and we're going to do this week by week. And like you said, Jay, I hope we're proven wrong. I hope we Cardinals come out here and show us something.
Yeah,
You know, it's better for us when we have a great product out there on the field. What we've seen so far during this offseason
doesn't fill us with much.
and here's the thing: you can either be for us, you can be objective or you can be a fanboy. And neither of us was like waving the Cardinal flag. At the same time, we got called the way we see it. 1 hour down, we're going to take this break. Got a lot of other great topics to talk about. We'll start with baseball at the top of the hour. I hope you're having a great Saturday so far. Appreciate you hanging out with Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk, KDUS 1060 AM, KSLX HD channel 100.7 Facebook, and our stream as well. Be back after these messages, folks.
Are you okay?
Clear, and Dan's already ready for you.
Do you remember?
Relax.
And welcome back, hour 2 of the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out, spending a little time with us. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend, wherever you may be. If you're out here in Arizona, it's still air conditioning weather, but we're creeping toward late October, November. So hold tight, we'll get there. And I love, like, you know, we have so many listeners, and they throw stuff out at us. And Brother Paul, he was talking about how crazy you are. You already insulted him by talking about the Cardinals who beat his Bears. But he said he said the Bears might get 6 wins if you play Madden 22, but that's the only way. So, so appreciate you, Brother Paul. Yeah, I'm right there with you with them going over to beat the Bears outside in Chicago in December, even if it was 1st of December. But Hey, I think we have a call on the line. We're going to jump right out to the Easy Sports Talk line of our favorites. Dan's calling in. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good, man.
Good, man.
Good. I wanted to ask you. I know that the D-backs, it's just been a rough season, kind of a season that no one really wants to remember. But they do play against teams that are playoff contenders in the month of September. Just wanted to get your thoughts on how much, this is an opportunity to, showcase for certain players and to finish the season on strong, and how the players look at that. With games against the Mariners who are in the wild card race, the Dodgers who are still, very much in the division race, the Braves, these teams that are playing for a lot. And, obviously the Diamondbacks, like I said, having a rough season, but this is an opportunity to, play against teams that do have something meaningful. Wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Appreciate the call, Dan. Great question, too.
Wonderful question.
And, right now the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks they're sitting at 45-91, and it is a horrible season, Dan. The only good part about a season like this is it doesn't carry over to the next year. Everybody gets a fresh slate. I've been on bad teams before, never this bad, but they're creeping toward that 100-loss mark. And as you mentioned, they've got some games coming up. Just started a series with the Mariners. They lost last night, 6-5. Opportunity is one thing because obviously you're going to play a lot of teams between Dodgers and Padres and Giants who are all fighting in the NL West for either division or wild card in the Padres camp. The problem is when you're so undermanned and overmatched that you can all the effort in the world is not going to in some of these instances is not going to bring you wins. It's like, and I don't want to talk about guns or anything. It was like being in a gunfight. Everybody else has a 44 Magnum. You got a water gun, and no matter, I know it's a gun, but it's not going to do the same damn. We just don't have the talent on the field, and as much as these young men want to go out there and show their work and play, man, you got Dodgers and Giants. They come rolling through here, and then you mentioned the Mariners who fighting for a spot. It's they can give as much effort as they want. I give them props for that, but I just don't see a whole lot of W's to finish out the season.
Here's the thing and I'll use kind of one of you as an example of what you talked about, what happened, how it was beneficial for the Atlanta Falcons. Here's how it can help. So yeah, in terms of W's that you see, you may not see a lot of W's in terms of at the end of the season, but here's what you may see is so if each individual player can do what they can to be able to try to improve and not look at, it's the Dodgers coming to town. I'm not going to be successful, but try to make whatever type of growth or incremental growth that they can have.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they take that success, so let's say over this last month of the season, an individual player has success, sees their batting average go up a little bit, is able to hit that hanging curveball, or is able to get around on that fastball, is able to field a little bit better, whatever that is, to be able to take that improvement, that's a win there. But it's not enough, and that's where you start to create some of that momentum, because it's all for naught if you go into the offseason and you say, well, I finished the season strong, I'm good, I'll wait until next season to begin. Where it comes is you take that confidence that you've built, and now in the offseason, you continue to work on those things. You continue to work on your craft. You continue to try to figure out what your strengths are and try to make them stronger, and what your weaknesses are, try to improve them a bit, so that when the season begins again, and when spring training begins, you're able to then take advantage of those of that change in mindset, and then you never know what can happen, because you can use the San Francisco Giants as an example of that.
Baseball is a funny sport, whereas it does take a lot of talent to win, because not one position can be dominant. You have a pitcher that's dominant as heck. He's only in the mound once every 5 days, right? Position players, here's the thing. As much confidence as we want to build by playing well at the end of this season, it means absolutely nothing for 2022, in my opinion, because if you don't have the talent, I don't care how, if you're playing 20 games, okay, you might get a hot start, get a couple. When you're playing 162, bro, talent overrides everything. And in my opinion, if you go, like, say right now, some of the young guys we brought up, we got rid of everything. It was veteran. There's no real. If you go into next season and this is your core, meaning where's our franchise guy, where's our face of the franchise, you go in with this, you're gonna end up with the same thing. The experience these guys are getting, I'll give you a golf clap for that. But if you don't, in baseball, if you do not have the talent, and that's why you look at the Padres, they went out and dumped how much money into how much these dudes, and it's not necessarily overpaying for them right now, meaning it's not paying off in spades, but they're in a wild card race. You think about it, the Giants, I don't know how they're doing with smoke and mirrors. They went out and made a couple moves and stuff. But the Dodgers, what do? They go out and spend loads of money on big names, and that's why they are in the position they are right now. In this division, we will continue to battle the Colorado Rockies for 4th and 5th place until they go out and spend money. I'm sorry to say. So whatever they do at the end of this season, like I said, you write this one off. If you don't start writing some checks in the offseason to get at the level of the other, you saw that, right? Okay, but we're gonna be right back in the same spot, or hoping to get the 500. And that's not going. 500 in this division with this talent is not going to mean anything. So I give Toilet all the credit in the world. A lot of managers have been like, "Hey man, just put me on my division, get me out of here." They're at least fighting. They're fighting, but 45 and 91. You know how hard it is. You lose 91 games. You still got a month to go. And that's because you don't have any talent on this team.
Well, so we know that Torrey is not, that his contract is up at the end of the season.
Yes.
So have you been in situations where there's a certain type of manager that's best? There's a certain type of manager that's best for certain groups of.
Oh, you mean like a manager
in terms of where they're at in their
in
their maturing process, or where they're at in their career, meaning somebody who can coach a group of veterans 5, 6, 7+ years in the league is different than somebody who's trying to get people who are guys who are 1, 2, or 3 years in the league with a couple of veterans mixed sprinkled in.
I've been around those type of coaches, and I know some who worked well with the young guys, some who didn't work well with the veterans because they still had that, like, not necessarily college mentality, but it was like, I'm the head here, and this is how I run my ship, And some of the older veterans don't like that. Whereas if you do have a younger squad, they fall in the line, and they will perform. The ideal situation is to have a mix of some veterans who've been around the block, some guys who are mid-range guys, and you get your young talent that you're developing to come up and blend into that. And I go back to it, and I know I sound like a broken record, but right now, if I told you to go make me a cake, but I didn't have any flour, I mean, what do you do? I mean, this is a situation, man, where the Diamondbacks, and here's the sad part, they've done it over the course of several years. You think about some of the talent we had here, and if you bite the bullet and give them a contract, extend them, and you found this little diamond in the rough where this one was here, or we've given away everything from pitching to hitting to managers to you name it, and now you have what's left over, and it's a straight debacle. And unfortunately, it is what it is. So we'll see how they manage this last month. And I guarantee you, as soon as it's over, it's over. It's just nobody's going to remember this season. Player, man, unless you're not coming back for your job, which it could happen to some of those guys. But
so you don't think that even as from an individual player, so if you were wallowing away, you're trying to just get through every day, you try to change some aspect of what you do. You just said no matter what, the season is, from a wins perspective, the season is lost. If I can just focus on me and just doing what I do to try to get better, that can't help you with the off season.
No, it can.
To be able to try to.
No, I think it absolutely can
make inroads the next season if you continue it in the off season.
I definitely think that's the mind frame that the players and whoever's helping them develop should have. I'm just saying, with the group you have, how much of a bound do you think you're going to take? I mean, these guys are getting confidence, they're getting some at-bats, they're getting innings in, everything. But how much of a leap are you going to take over the next few months when you come back to spring training and you look over and you see the Dodgers rotation's gotten even better because they went out and got some more pieces. Padres have added some to theirs. Giants are going, and you're looking and you got me or you sitting on the bench. We had a great finish to 2020, and we started hitting weather. We started gelling, and you look over and you see Mookie Betts, you see Scherzer, he might be gone because he's maybe on the. But you're looking over there, and you're like, that still looks pretty. So it's just one of those things, man. Like I said, we it's gonna be. You watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay. For anybody who knows it's gonna be a long, cold winter, bro. It's gonna be a long, cold winter. So, hey, we got a couple other topics we're gonna hit on too. We got not stuck on Diamondbacks, so we do love to support our local teams, but a couple other things to kind of hit on. We'll be back. We're gonna take this break, nibble on some things, and we got Earl coming on at 11:30 to talk about ASU
They're
football.
trying to be like my San Jose State Spartans.
Appreciate you hanging out, Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk, KDUS 1060 AM, KL Selects, AC Channel 127, Facebook, and our restream. Be back after these messages, folks.
You get.
Clear. You're live.
And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. This segment right here is brought to you by
Casual Sports Radio Network. KSRNAZ.com is your destination for the latest updates and in-depth coverage of your Arizona sports teams, including all things Arizona Cardinals for the Bird Gang fan base. Visit KSRNAZ.com for feature articles, great podcasts, including the repurposing of the Easy Sports Talk Show and music programming such as Microphone Masters and Disposable Arts and more. You know that was me, by the way, right?
That was you?
Yeah.
Get out of here. You be killing me with all this stuff, man. I didn't know that was you. Man, I got skills, man. I'm sitting next to a genius. Hey, we're going to stay on the baseball tip right quick here. Just a quick update. NL West is coming down to it. Giants finally caught up to San Fran. We're dead even going into a 3-game series that started last night. Giants get the first of that one. So right now, Giants are sitting at 86-49. 1 game ahead of the Dodgers. Like I said, 2 more to finish up, and they're done for the season. They were up till last night. They were 8-8 against each other. Now the Giants are 9-8. They got 2 more to go. They're finished, so they'll have to beat up on others and hope that others beat up on the other. Padres a half game behind Cincy in the wild card run, so they're at 71-64. So they're all battling. Meanwhile, like I said, we're wobbling at the bottom of the division. I wanted to bring something up, and I had a question for both you and Aaron. Last week, I think it was the Mets players. They've been struggling. They've been scuffling for a little bit of time. Lost a bunch of games in a row. Had a game last week where I think it was Javi Baez started off, hit a home run, and they've been getting booed for days over there by their fans. Baez hits a home run. Then he comes and crosses home plate. He starts giving the thumbs down to the fans. Basically like, boo you for booing us. And basically, because I guess they were cheering, and he gave them the thumbs down, like, don't all of a sudden now want to give us love. You were booing us before, So then other players started doing it as well. Lindor and Pilar, they started flashing the thumbs down in retaliation to the fans. And then the GM comes out, and he made a statement that I was totally unacceptable. And at some point he said the players in the organization are equally frustrated, but fans at Citi Field have every right to express their own disappointment. Booing is every fan's right. And I hear that as a player. I'm like, wait a minute. But then I thought, let me ask you guys, both of you, because Aaron, you're a big Diamondbacks fan, right?
Yes.
So if you were to go to a number of games, say you just decided this was the season, I bought season tickets, and you were there, are you a booer, and what do you think? What do you feel about booing?
I am not a booer. I'm not to my own team, like to the opponent. Yeah, go for it. To my own team, not so much. I don't think I could find myself in a situation to do that. But I mean, that's also not really the fan culture for the Diamondbacks.
That's true.
The Mets fans are obviously more vocal. So yeah, I guess if you're in that setting, you understand what New York fans are like and what fans are like in general. They pay to see their team play and hopefully do well. So I think as long as it's nothing derogatory or anything very bad being said, booing is just part of the game and it's something you kind of got to deal with as a player.
That's great insight. What about you, Jay? Are you a booer?
Have me follow up that?
I'm just saying. I know.
And now you, Jay. Let's say
you got to follow.
No, I think that I think it's natural to show displeasure in your team if you feel that they're not giving effort. If you feel that they're giving every effort, but they're just falling short, then I think that you have to understand that there should be different ways to be able to express that. As such, because they're human, you can only take so much as a player, I think, before you start to say, wait a minute, come on now. This you can't just keep on putting all of this negativity on me. And then the moment that something positive happens, now you straight. Now we're all good again, and now you can clap. No, let me express my displeasure with you as well. And it doesn't matter if
is the thumbs down going a little over the top though, or
no,
and I like
it's as much of a public display as booing is.
I liked what Aaron said too, because I didn't even think about that portion of it. That's not our culture here, but if you're in Philly, if you're in New York, run down some of those other cities that are just dying hard, even like a Chicago maybe. That is a different culture over there. They expect, I guess, more or
it's a different culture.
It is a different culture.
And feel free to, and again, Aaron, feel free to chime in if you want. But it's a different culture, yes. But does that mean it should be acceptable? Because think about it, if you were doing your job, I don't care if you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, and somebody comes up to you as you're walking down the street and says, "You suck," Yeah, wait a minute. Okay, hold on a second. Can we have? You can tell me I suck in different. You can tell me I need to lose weight in different ways. Jeans feeling a little bit snug, don't you think? As opposed to you look pretty fat, dude. So it's different ways in which you can convey that, and sometimes we just accept that's just Philly, and that's just New York, and being really abrupt, and blah blah blah. And you can. It's if you wouldn't like the same thing being said to you, then I think that's where you should have pause about how you critique a professional athlete, because I think far too often fans treat professional athletes as if they're their little toys, and we can say and do whatever we want because I'm a fan. Hey, I paid your bill. I pay your salary.
This question sparked something. My boy, brother MC, he wants to call us, Mike, 602-260-1060. Aaron will grab the phone because he has an opinion on this. Me and Mike played multiple years together. And then my friend, one of my classmates, a great friend back home, Ron Sapp, he said, New York and Philly fans are different. When they aren't happy, they will be just as vocal with the boos. Some players accept it, some don't like it. So that is a great thing as well.
He quick as hell.
Yeah. So my MC, appreciate you calling, man, on the Easy Sports Talk hotline. So go ahead, and you and I both, as players, we've been out there before when we've been booed before. Give me your thoughts on it from a player's point of view.
Well, for me, I actually enjoy playing on the road more than at home because they did boo you. It's just another reason to make me focus a little more. So I even wanted to take it a little deeper because they were talking about the owner of the event was talking about how bad the players were playing and all the kind of stuff, and people say an owner shouldn't be doing that. Well, when you have a regular job and your boss comes to you and say, hey, your performance is lacking, we need you to pick it up. What's the difference between that and an owner telling a baseball player, hey, you're hitting 210, we need you to pick it up, So it's kind of tough how people think owners of teams shouldn't be able to have comments about the players, whether negative or positive. Mm-hmm. They're still their boss, and they have a right, as your boss, you have a right to tell somebody when you think they're not performing up to standard.
Let me ask you a question too, MC. And I was like you too. I used to love to go on the road, especially playing baseball, because it was like one-on-one and mano-mano. You got fans booing, and you take one out the yard, and you get that glory trip around the bases, right? Flip that around. Have you ever in your career been booed at home, maybe because you were in a slump or had a bad performance, or even just dropped the ball or did something? Did you ever catch any of those?
No, I've never been booed, but fortunate for me,
very.
I played pretty good. So, but the only time I really didn't perform as hard, I felt like for me was the first month I played in Somerset, but they didn't really boo because I was still like second in the team and really run for second in stolen bases. I just wasn't hitting her average.
Yeah.
But no, it wouldn't bother me when I did it. Actually, almost just make me probably, like I say, pick up my mindset more, so and focusing more. But no, I don't think they should boo the home team, but I wouldn't care if they did. It wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't think I had ever been booed, like personally, like for anything. But I know there were times when like fans were disappointed with maybe us as a team. But even the year I was in Atlanta, my first season there, we started out 1-7. We didn't hear any boos because probably most of the other fans, the number of fans that were in there to watch us compared to the team, the other team was probably more. I will say this. The worst I ever felt was coming out of the tunnel. We were playing your Raiders of all teams in '97. And we come out of our own tunnel. We did get booed coming out of our own tunnel, and they were booing. They were cheering louder for the Raiders.
Really?
Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a lot of people. The only time I felt really bad for one of my teammates. I was down in Mexico playing baseball, and the fans started saying "afuera," which means get out of here, leave.
Oh, yes.
When a guy's that bad, I felt so bad, man, because usually in Mexico. And even in Venezuela, when the fan starts telling you it's time to go, you might as well go pack the bag.
It's time to go.
The same thing. Yeah, it's time to go. I felt so bad for him. He actually wasn't saying that bad, but because of a bigger guy, and they don't have a lot of guys in Mexico that hit home runs, he was bigger, so he wanted to hit home runs. He was like 290 something. Maybe they had 1 or 2 home runs, but because he wasn't driving the ball to the ballpark, because that's what they wanted to see. They are yelling every time he comes to bat, afuera.
Real quick, MC. We only got about 30 seconds. What do you think about Baez and Lindor and them giving the thumbs down? You think they crossed the line?
I think it's childish, but I don't really see it as a cross the line type thing. I mean, I just believe people go through moments. So just because you make a lot of money don't mean you're supposed to have no feelings or no emotions or no moments too where you make mistakes. So it's just, to me, it's just like another mistake that people make sometimes. So no, I don't.
1 minute.
It's crazy. I just think it was kind of childish.
Okay, and real quick, give a shout out to your son for his debut home run.
Well, yeah, he had a home run his first game playing with the Cubs. He was 3 for 5 yesterday, had a home run double and almost hit for the cycle and a single. And guess where he's playing today?
Where?
He's not. He's on the bench.
Oh. That's
you know, 3 for 5, a home run double, single, 3 RBI, 2 runs.
Tell everybody your son's name, man, real quick.
His name is Michael Hermosillo. He's with the Cubs.
Okay.
Outfielder.
We're going to continue to follow him. Hey, appreciate you calling in, brother. I'll call you later on, okay? Love you, man. All right, we're going to take this break. We'll be back. We got Earl jumping on with us. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and J, Easy Sports Talk. That's how we do around here. We bring in the fam.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. We'll be back.
Okay.
Did you want this segment extended?
Yeah, you can. Hanging out with us. That's what I love about like having this type of show. It's not scripted. We just gotta roll with it. Appreciate my brother MC calling in. He wanted to tack on. He said roll tide. And we got some big football games coming up this weekend. And we're going to get into some of that with Brother Earl. Come up here a second. Right now, this segment right here is brought to you by
MTB Productions. Master the Brand Productions is a multi-service video production company that specializes in unearthing the pain points of your brand and providing digital solutions with relatability to engage your target audience. MTB Productions align themselves with your vision to create amazing video content to highlight your business's entire unique story. For more information, call 623-335-0735. Again, that's 623-335-0735, or visit www.mtbproductions.com.
And we're going to jump right out to the Easy Sports Talk hotline. Brother Earl Casual E from KSRN is joining us, regular on the show. Always love having him in. And, I can lower my voice octave a little bit every time we bring Earl on. But Southern Utah comes in last night, Brother Earl, to play ASU, 41-14 game. And you were out there at the game last night, right?
On Thursday, yeah.
On Thursday.
You there, Brother Earl?
It was
You there?
You there, Brother Earl?
Okay. When he gets
Yeah,
back.
maybe you can recall
I
him.
have him. I'll recall him.
Okay, sounds good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Appreciate it. Thanks for having me come on, man. I appreciate it.
Always good, man.
So, what was that vibe like at the Southern Utah game? Game one. I want to talk about the performance of the team. I know you were there in the press box, so I'm sure it felt good to be to some sense of normalcy going on around that time.
From a press box, it's really hard to tell sometimes. It's so quiet. Press box, It kind of almost block out all the sound. But when I went down on the field, of course, the biggest thing that side-wise was for the sophomores and freshmen, because, of course, the freshmen didn't get a season last year, so they have their first chance at an actual football game from their school. So the student section was really, really hyped. It was, the whole section was filled. Everybody paint on their faces and get the whole game thing. So it was pretty cool to get the season started. It was pretty hyped up for the students.
And they had about 45,000 fans out there, Earl. I think I saw the number was somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the environment?
Right.
Yeah, you said it was a raucous environment. Obviously you're expected to beat up on Southern Utah, but how did the game start? Did they come out the blocks? Because it looked like there was some penalties and things like that early, which you expect in the first game. They did end up compiling over 433 yards of offense. But tell us what it looked like out of the box, and then when they finally picked up traction. Did we lose you, Earl?
And their coaching staff, Herm,
We might have a bad connection.
Yeah, I think we have a bad connection. We'll tell Earl we'll catch up with him.
Yeah, tell me if you can call back in, it's better. Go right ahead. Yeah.
But I'll tell you a couple of things that I saw you mentioned, and I'm sure Aaron, feel free to jump in if you like. I'm sure you probably watched the game as well. But the penalties in the first half, it was sloppy. I think if you see that oftentimes colleges institutions such as Arizona State or some of these bigger ones, they'll come out the box with an easily assessed lesser opponent, except for when you have North Carolina that actually ended up losing.
We took an L last night.
Yeah, you took an L. So but those things can happen. So with penalties, I think 11 first half penalties, and they kind of cleaned it up a little bit in the second half, and it wasn't just on one side of the ball; it was in all phases of the game.
Mm-hmm.
One bright spot, especially on defense, if you looked at, especially from his first half performance, there was number 20 on defense. I think it's Darian Butler, but he had he had 4 tackles. He had 2 interceptions, which was really impressive there, and that stuck out. Jaden Daniels, and I'm curious to get maybe Earl's assessment of that, or maybe even yours, Aaron. I'm just
Earl's back.
Okay. We're talking about Jaden Daniels in terms of the performance of the game and just kind of looking at how that played out, not only in the entire game, but the first half. Are you impressed with Jaden Daniels, Earl? Because I don't necessarily get the warm and fuzzies with him. Your thoughts on Jaden Daniels, and I know it's just one game, but
yeah, I think the kid's he's going to be a pretty good player. The only thing that concerns me about Jaden, he's too real thin, man.
Still, too, yeah.
He is really tiny, man. I watched him out there. He's not afraid of the moment. The kid knows how to run his offense. Last night's game was just kind of
one of those games where they were rusty. He was rusty. Haven't played a live action game in a while, so they didn't really get the chance for him to push the ball down. Feel like he normally does. So he doesn't have those dynamic receivers that he had in the Ayuk and Harry before. He doesn't have any dynamic receivers like that. He's testing with these new receivers and he's trying to get acclimated to this. But for the most part, he was a bit inaccurate last night, erratic, and he did a lot of running around, which I didn't think he would have to do in a game against that team of that caliber that's playing.
Exactly.
But he ended up running around a lot and ended up, of course, cranking up and have to leave in the third quarter. So, I mean, but overall, I think the kid's going to be okay. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback for this team in this conference as well.
That seemed to be put a lot of the spotlight on the running back core. So especially watching the game, a lot of spotlight was put on White and Trainum. Your thoughts on them? They see it good. It seems to be a good kind of 1-2 punch. I know that again you mentioned Jaden Daniels. He rushed for 40 yards, 6.7 rush attempts. I mean per attempt, but that running back duo seems to be as if maybe they'll rely on them a little bit, maybe depending on how the season plays out early on.
Oh, absolutely, man. Coming into this game, we knew that was the main thing we were expecting to see. We already knew that running game was going to be, the bell cow team. They're going to be a running team first. But in my opinion, they really didn't perform in the running game as dynamic as they should have. I mean, they did rack up 222 yards as a total running game, but the two running backs in White and Trainum only accumulate 110 on 13 carries. That could have been an easy 300.
Right.
If they, we were expecting a dominant running from them. So a lot of things didn't click on this team last night because they were not focused coming into that game. They were really undisciplined, man. They came in with penalties out the gate. The opening kickoff kicked out of bounds. Special teams was erratic. I mean, the whole team seemed like they were just not focused. And I don't know if this got anything to do with this looming investigation over the team or whatever everybody want to put that in, but whatever it was, you can tell this team was distracted. And Herm tried his best to prepare them that they were going to be playing themselves. And they had to be focused and do things right to be that team to display that they're going to be that next dominant team in the Pac-12. But last night's game, if it had been any other opponent, they would have lost that game.
Like San Jose State.
They should have ran shot over that team as far as they could have easily had 400, 500 yards running in that game, and it should have opened up their passing game. The passing game was non-existent. So I don't know. We'll see, but that's just one game. The good thing they have going on right now is that they're 2 tune-up games at the beginning, make get things ironed out. But I don't know. I think the receiving core kind of a little bit is questionable. Like I said, they don't have that dynamic guy, so they got to kind of find out who's going to be that next guy. The tight end option is pretty good, a good target for Jaden to kind of go through. But he needs to be able to stay in that pocket and throw the ball. He was ready to run too fast in that game last night as well. So
we have
running game's going to be the bell cow for sure.
So here, brother Earl Burnett, Casual E on the Easy Sports Talk Hotline. Now we focus a lot on the offense from this team, brother Earl. But tell me, where can this team hang their hat defensively? Obviously, Herm's on his focus. I'm not saying necessarily on that side of the ball, but that's his background. What did you see from the defense last night?
That was probably the next best positive thing. Probably the first positive thing that you can look at and go, okay, not bad. This team, the corners on this team are good. I mean, very good. They're going to be able to allow that defense to get to a lot of quarterbacks because they can cover. My man, Chase Lucas, they didn't even throw his way the whole night. I mean, that dude was covering like crazy. And the other DB, I forgot his last name. Daniel was something, I forgot his name, but he had 2 picks a game. And I mean, he had 1 pick, and the linebacker had 2 picks.
Yeah, so Butler had 2 picks.
Yeah, Butler had 2 picks. The linebacker, yeah. So the defense is all over. They're all over the ball. They're all over the place. If they don't get ejected from games, of course. But the defense is going to be okay. I think they're going to be fine. They can rush the pass. They can cover receivers. And I love what the corners are doing. I love it.
And I wanted to ask Earl something when we were earlier in the show, and it's off topic from what we're talking about right now, but have you done your assessment of the Cardinals schedule yet, Earl, and come up with your overall maybe record, what you think where you think they might end up? And just to give you I have them at 7-10. Jay has them at 8-9, I think, right? You said 8-9. Well, do you have an idea of where you think they might land?
Yes, I do. I did that same thing the other day, and I came up with 6-11.
See? Okay.
And the reason being is when you look at that schedule, man, those games that they're playing back to back to back to back, a lot of good teams, man, a lot of playoff teams, and I don't even think the Cardinals can win 1 or 2 games in their own division. Whoa, that's just where I am with it right now. I don't see anything from this team that makes me go, oh, they're going to be at the top of this division.
Nope.
In the mid. I don't see that. I don't see anything until that happens. Hey, I'll be the first person to come out and say I was wrong.
Thank you.
But I see 6-11 at best, man, because that offense just does not operate in the NFL system consistently. It can't do it. It can't. What Cliff is the same thing we saw, mediocre at best, like 50-50, 500 at Texas Tech. He's going to be around that in the NFL regardless, because that system just doesn't work in the NFL. It never will. And a lot of these coaches, man, I'm telling you, a lot of these coaches they can't stand Cliff Kingsbury. A lot of these coaches, especially the ones that are doing the broadcast and all these. He's got like Rex Ryan the other night. He can't stand Cliff Kingsbury. This is the dude that jumps the system. He steers the system. It's not his fault. They hired him, but these guys have been waiting in the wings, man. These dudes are ticked off. These dudes come in with the same system, the same 500 mediocre system, and his team has been nothing but 500 mediocre.
You know, interestingly enough,
system, man, I don't know, man. To me, it just seems like this team's the same team from last year, and until he does something different, I'm going with the 6-11. I look at the schedule, it's bad.
It's funny, Earl, because I had them at we went through the schedule 6 weeks at a time. I actually had them at 6-11, and I actually bumped it up to 7 because of that one game which they surprise you and get. But I'm right there with you. And I think I asked this question the other night on the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. Both you and Jay, I was like, what have the Cardinals done this offseason to give you any hope? Like with this preseason, the way they approached it and performed, what have they done to give you hope that this is anything other than another 6-11 or 7-10? They played nobody, meaning everybody sat and just watched. Your quarterback was so disinterested they could have cared less. You roll into the season, and you've got guys who literally haven't put the pads on, will not have put pads on in full combat in about 3 or 4 weeks, or it might be their first time. Like for J.J. Watt, I don't care how impressive and strong you are, you're going to get on a football field. You haven't taken a live snap since, last, and you think you're just going to get on the treadmill and run? I mean, I'm just saying. So for me, the whole approach and everything, man, it just sets up for failure. And let me ask you this: 2 minutes or a minute and a half left. I marked week 12 as the bye week. You roll into that. If it's on our track at 4-7 or something like that, is that the week that Kine finally gets rid of Kingsbury?
Absolutely, it has to be. Ask yourself this question right now: what's the difference between Kingsbury and Steve Wilkes? The only difference is Kingsbury has more talent. If Wilkes had the same talent that Kingsbury has this year, we see the same thing. I don't know. Kingsbury is the key to this whole operation. We all know that. I think he needs to change how he's using his personnel. Why is DeAndre Hopkins delegated to a screen receiver? I mean, you can look at everybody.
1 minute when you start hitting out.
Okay, we know what he did, but at least Bill O'Brien knew how to use DeAndre Hopkins. We do get the dang ball downfield to DeAndre Hopkins. Cliff Kingsbury does not know how to use Hopkins yet. He doesn't know how, and now he's added Green. Now he's got more. Watch this offense. All he's going to do is concentrate on trying to get this ball to Rondale Moore. That's all he's going to concentrate on. Quick screen, quick receiver screen, quick dishes, quick slant. And the big guys on the outside are going to be running up and down the field, barely getting past the zone. Because Kyler can't get the ball down because everything's so quick, getting out of his hands.
Yeah. So
I don't see this offense being as dynamic as everybody thinks it's going to be. So that's just my opinion.
Bumpy road ahead. We are right there together, Earl. So, hey, we got to jump out of here, but man, appreciate you so much jumping on. Love the insight. We're always we're always on the same page. I don't know about the dude sitting next to me right here. At one point, he actually had the Cardinals with a winning record, so I think I talked him down. So, hey, brother, Earl, appreciate you. Hey, we got some things coming up. Appreciate you, brother Earl.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me.
You got it, man.
Always good stuff, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
See,
Yeah,
there you go. Right there, 6'11". You were surprised when he said that, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
He believes more than anybody else.
Hey, we're going to take this break. Last quick segment coming up. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD Channel 200.7 and Facebook and a restream. Appreciate you jumping on, brother Earl. We'll see you guys on the back of this break. Just wrap things up.
You get.
Yeah, I was right on point when he said that. I was
Your life.
And welcome back. Final segment of the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I want to give a shout out to all of our partners and friends of the show. Mr. Mike Milano and the Milano Music family, Hans Schatz at Colt Arts and Beverage Company, Brother Earl and Brother Sean at Casual Sports Network, and Felix Cruz as well, Coach D'Alicia on the Varsity Sports Show. Have a great show on the road, Coach. He's out there traveling to New Mexico. Majestic Services. Let them come and do all of your dirty work. Christy Rodrigues with Go Arizona. Howie Schwab with Win Quick. Mark Twain Beaver with MTB Productions. Joanna Rosalie and Ed Cole at Insight Sports. I actually on their show on Tuesday, I think. Tuesday night, I think it is, and Customer First Solutions, along with Aaron. Once again, happy birthday earlier this week. Dan for calling in.
Yes, sir.
MC for calling in, Michael Carter, and
Yeah,
Brother
man.
Earl for joining in the conversation. Always
Yes, he
good
said,
time.
you ever been booed? Nah.
Mike is smooth too,
No,
bro. I mean,
I'm just saying.
yeah. I was trying to think too, because I was actually gonna say, yeah, I've been booed, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm trying to think back in my mind if I ever was like seriously booed. Maybe like you don't want to go
There's
to
a
the
story
legs
that you told me about
Dominican Republic.
Yeah, man,
That was booed. They
That
wanted
was-
to say they wanted to shank me.
They wanted to do something serious.
They wanted to say, well, I'll tell that story again one of these days. Yeah, remind me. But real quick, just a reminder, next week, Saturday 11th, unless something happens with their schedule, the NAU Lumberjacks will be at South Dakota. Pregame kickoff at 10, pregame show at 10, kickoff is at 11 right here on KUS 1060 AM. We might do something on Facebook or something like that, but as far as the radio show, we are going to be off. So we'll be back on the 18th to recap week 1 and talk about week 2, see how right we were in our assessment of the start of this season for the Cardinals. And just a couple of quick, I want to give respect and some shout outs to some people we lost this week. Keith McCants, he was a former Alabama football player, actually spent a little time here in Arizona with the Cardinals, 1994 and 1995. He was found dead at his home on earlier this week on September 2nd. So just a couple of days ago, we lost Keith McCants. Also, David Patton, only 47 years old. He actually played with Tom Brady, won, I think, 2 or 3 Super Bowls with him. He actually was in a motorcycle accident just the other day. What that day was, I think it was, the 2nd of September. So we lost both of them on the same day, McCants and Patton. Just want to give our thoughts and prayers to their family. And then Ed Asner, 91 years old.
Yeah.
He's one of those dudes that when he died, you're like, wow, I thought he already passed away because he's so old. But Ed Asner, all the way back to the Mary Tyler Moore days.
He's been in the game for a minute. That's true.
He's been in the game for a minute. And the thing I love about Ed Asner, his career went full circle. He started
was in the Boondocks too.
the Boondocks.
Oh, I know.
He was Mr. Onceler.
Yeah, man.
And for anybody if you've never watched the Boondocks, it's a pretty. How would you describe the Boondocks?
Hilarious.
It's hilarious, but you have to have a stomach for it because
Yeah.
some of the language, and you got to be able to hear certain things and even face certain things. But the Boondocks is and I actually have season 1 through 3 up there on the shelf right above your head. Yeah, the Boondocks is very controversial, but this is Ed Asner, like I said, once on Mary Tyler Moore, and then he had his own show.
Wasn't he the voice in that movie Up as well?
Yeah. But yeah, he after Mary Tyler Moore, his character was given his own show, Lou Grant, from 1977 to 82.
Yeah.
So this is a man who spanned decades. And like I said, in the end, he even came over to the other side and voiced, I'm telling you, the Boondocks, Mr. Munster, that was his character was unbelievably funny in there. And RIP to Ed Asner, may he rest in peace, and thoughts and prayers to his family. So what do you got going to finish the weekend out, man?
Well, the reason that I played the time here is we're going to see Morris Day.
Get out.
We're going to see him get that celebrity. So
Get out.
It's funny because Nika said when I was getting ready for the show this morning, she said, I think we might be the youngest ones up in the building. I said, you bring up a good point because when we were growing up, our parents were the ones that were into the time and especially the time. Not a lot of. It took a while before Black folks really started to get on the Prince.
Yeah.
But at the time, because they were just funky as heck, even though Prince wrote most of those, he wrote almost all that stuff.
Man, that is off the chart. That's going to be a good evening for you.
Yeah.
For me, getting ready for some college football. Some of the matchups just to throw out at you: Clemson and Georgia, number 3 versus number 5 today. Alabama plays Miami. Wisconsin, number 12, plays 19 Penn State. Indiana, number 17, plays Iowa, number 18. So I'm getting ready for some college football. And
We need an hour of the show. We need that support.
Yeah. We're working on it. We are getting close to some things, folks, and we're going to get back out there and start doing our live remotes. This back is slowly, I say very slowly, but that's one of the things holding us back. But as soon as I get the strength, we're going to be doing our remotes around the valley, and we're looking for sponsors and partners at all times. So reach out to us. Email me at edsmithspeaks javon@gmail.com. Your email.
Javon.adams@gmail.com.
One minute.
And I'll even throw a number out there if you want to call us or text us, 602-326-8747. I've got some people we're meeting with to do some things as far as some of our partners and sponsors, getting some live promotes of some of these sports bars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are going to be back out there. We're going to be doing it like we used to do. So you want to come along for the ride, come on.
And real quick, just so you can go to easysportstalk.com, easysportstalk.com, and click on Become a Sponsor, and you'll be able to get some information there. And then also you'll be able to see the contact. This is the time when you're going to be really just in your drawers, sitting on that couch, watching that football game.
With a cold adult beverage.
There we
Hey,
go.
appreciate you hanging out. Great show today. Thanks for everybody who contributed. Aaron, great job again as always. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so enjoy your start to the NFL season. Be back. Easy Sports Talk. Till then, be easy out there.
And you can.
Great show, Aaron.
You guys are clear. Good show. I will talk to you in a